And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Scarlet Fu, taking you through to that closing bell with a global simulcast. Massar and Tim Stenovec join us from the radio booth. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, including our partnership with YouTube. A rare down day for the S&P 500 after 6 straight record highs. A bit of a pullback today, down 0.3%.
Yeah, it's like we're waiting for something, maybe a Fed meeting or maybe an earnings palooza, as our Finley Walker, our producer, has said. We've got Booking, Mondelez, Caesars, Electronic
Is she
Arts.
related to Luke?
What?
No.
What?
Just keep going.
You're tough, man. Visa, Starbucks, Frontier, and Avis. We've got a lot of earnings coming after the closing bell. And then, of course, we've got some big tech ones tomorrow and Thursday.
Yeah, Meta Platforms tomorrow, Microsoft tomorrow as well, Ford as well, Qualcomm, and then, of course, the big one, Apple, on Thursday.
And we also get details on how the Treasury plans to issue debt over the next quarter. This as we see Treasuries extend their gains. As Romaine was just pointing out, this auction was better than expected. Surprise demand for 7-year notes.
And tomorrow's going to be really crazy because we think about the Fed meeting, the idea that you're starting the morning with actual hard economic data that presumably the Fed, I mean, I know it's backwards looking, but presumably they're not getting the report in advance. So you got a big GDP report, and then you throw that in with the Fed and all the earnings here. It's kind of understandable why some people might be on the sidelines today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had quite a run, too. Let's not forget that. And there are some folks out there that maybe think things are once again getting a little lofty.
All right, well, after 6 straight days of gains for the S&P 500, 6 straight record highs for the S&P 500, a modest pullback on the day. It takes a while for these numbers to settle, but it looks like the S&P is going to end lower by around 17 to 18 points, or about 0.3%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down about 0.5 percentage point. The NASDAQ Composite down about 0.4%, and the Russell 2000 finishing lower by 0.6%.
All right, S&P 500, almost an even split. 256 names, Scarlet, to the upside, 246 to the downside.
All right, let's take a look at the IMAP. 7 sectors in the red, with industrials down by more than 1%. Carrier and UPS are the big laggards there. Consumer discretionary and healthcare also weaker as well. The gainers here, real estate investment trusts and utilities, each up by more than 1%.
All right, guys, we are getting earnings. Let's start with Booking.com. Avis also crossing the wire right now, but Booking saying the gross bookings in the most recent quarter came in above street estimates, $46.7 billion, EBITDA $2.42 billion, which is just slightly higher than what the street was looking for at 2.21. EPS, the bottom line, adjusted as always, 55.4. Street was looking for 50.3. So it looks like a beat on all of the main metrics, including on the top and the bottom line. $6.8 billion in revenue, 16% higher than 12 months ago.
All right, let's also take a look at Avis, the rental car agency. Second quarter revenue, $3 billion, pretty much in line with what analysts were looking for. The second quarter America's revenue also meeting analyst estimates as well. So if you break it down a little bit more, international revenue, $707 million, slightly higher than what was anticipated as well. We could see Avis down about 1% in after-hours trading.
Okay, I'm looking at what's happening with Caesars Entertainment. Second quarter net revenue coming in at $2.91 billion. Estimates for that were $2.86 billion. That's second quarter same store net revenue. Second quarter loss per share coming in at 39 cents. Overall, second quarter same store net revenue did beat estimates. Shares right now, well, they are unchanged.
All right, let's get to Qorvo. That, of course, playing into the semi space and has had quite a run this year. The company, let's go right to the forecast. See second quarter revenue of about $1.025 billion plus or minus 50 million. See second quarter adjusted EPS, a range of $1.75 to $2.25. That is above what the street is expecting of $1.64. And let's go backward to the last quarter. First quarter adjusted EPS, 92 cents versus an estimate of 63 cents a share. We'll look for some color around that number because quite a gap there. And first quarter adjusted revenue of 818.8 million. Again, that seems to be a big beat. The estimate on the street was 771.1 billion. And just taking a quick look at what this company is doing here in the aftermarket as we bring it up, it's up about 14%. So I want to know a little bit more about those numbers.
Yeah, I do too. I do want to go back though to the 2 travel stocks that just actually reported, Booking and Caesars, both lower now in the after hours trade. And I am curious about this idea of kind of like where travel goes next. Booking, of course, not providing a hard forecast in the release, but when you take a look at what Caesars has to say, it gives you some sense here that while things are, I guess, stable, it does not necessarily seem to indicate that they're expecting any material growth from current levels going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just taking a look at the booking statement from the CEO, Glenn Fogel, talking about reaching a milestone with connected trip transactions. There's a 30% increase on Bookings.com's total transactions year over year, healthy growth across different verticals, especially with flight tickets up 44%. So again, it comes back to people's willingness to spend in this current environment, which, is better than it was 3 months ago, but not enough necessarily for investors to feel completely comfortable with the company beating and exceeding their forecasts.
On that willingness to spend in this environment, Scarlett, we're getting some commentary from Tom Reeg, the CEO of Caesars, who says that in Las Vegas, we posted solid gaming results in the face of softer market demand in our hospitality verticals, but net revenue and segment revenue increased 4%, driven primarily by Caesars, Virginia, and New Orleans. So maybe people aren't necessarily trekking to Las Vegas as a result of uncertainty, but they're visiting these more regional areas and spending money there instead.
All right, I'm a little obsessed by the crypto space. I want to go back to Qorvo because the company's chief financial officer, Grant Brown, saying the company's fiscal first quarter revenue and non-GAAP EPS exceeded the high end of guidance driven by broad-based demand. It made me want to go into the supply chain function of these guys. Their customers, number one customers, Apple, Samsung Electronics. It's a wide range of industries. But again, the stock up about 11.6% here in the aftermarket. And keep in mind, it's up about 21% year to date. So quite a bump to the upside here.
And just a reminder for our viewers, we're still awaiting to get earnings out of Starbucks as well as Cheesecake Factory. EA, of course, video game company, also expected to report sometime soon. But it gets to this idea, though, Carol, to your point, this idea of how these companies, the tech companies, of course, that you're referring to, how they sort of transition. Like, is this all about AI? Is this all, of course, about crypto as well? EA is out, so too is Starbucks. Where are we going, guys? Let's do Starbucks first here. Starbucks crossing the wire right now. The company saying that international comp sales, as expected, were flat, down about 0%. U.S. comp sales also were down about 2%. So a negative sign in front of that. But the good news is that comp sales were actually dropped less than what the street was looking for. The street was looking for a drop of 2.5%. Operating margin came in below expectations, 10.1%. The street was looking for 11.6% here. And the company overall basically saying that as comp sales drop on that 2% level, both in North America, the U.S., and of course flat sales over international, it is saying adjusted EPS coming in at 50 cents a share. I just wanted to double check that number. The street was looking for 65, so it looks like a miss on a lot of key metrics here. But again, this is a company where the quarter that passed is less important than the guidance that they give for the future.
All right, and to that end, let's take a look at EA Electronic Arts, the video game publisher. It has maintained its full-year net bookings forecast, sees it at around $7.6 billion to $8 billion. Analysts were looking for $7.8 billion. And then also saying that the first quarter net bookings for the quarter that ended was $1.3 billion, slightly higher than the anticipated $1.24 billion. It also sees earnings per share this quarter of about 29 cents to 46 cents and still sees a full year EPS at about 309 to 379. Stock moving just slightly lower in after hours trade.
Okay, let's go to Mondelez, the maker of Triscuit and Cliff Bars, among others, down about 0.3%.
Not Oreos and the good stuff?
Hey, you know what? I want to do the ones that people aren't necessarily familiar with. Bars, okay. If you go to Mondelez's website, the first thing there is
Oreos!
Triscuits. Come on.
Oreos.
This is a healthy world that we're living in.
Okay.
Well,
some of us, yeah.
The shares are ever so slightly lower in the after hours, down 0.4%. The company still sees fiscal year organic net revenue at about 5%. The estimate was for 4.95%. Second quarter net revenue above estimates at $8.98 billion. Second quarter adjusted operating margin 14.3%. Second quarter adjusted EPS above estimates at 73 cents. The estimate was 68 cents.
All right, we've got
they also make Chips Ahoy.
And Ritz crackers, Tate's cookies.
But that was the third thing.
Tate's.
All right, snack hour it is.
Tate's. Right. You can use your Visa to buy things made by Mondelez. Visa is out with third quarter adjusted EPS $2.98 a share. That is better than the forecast of $2.85 a share. And third quarter net revenue coming in at $10.2 billion, folks. folks. That too is a beat. The estimate on the street was 9.87 billion. Stock's been bouncing around, but right now it's up, remain up about 0.5%.
And just real quickly, Mara Holdings, kind of, I guess you call it, I don't know, the crypto energy company, 2Q EPS, $1.84. That compares to a loss from the previous quarter of 72 cents a share. So it looks like an improvement on the bottom line. Not a lot of analysts cover this, so hard to sort of match this up with street expectations. Shares higher by about 2.6% in the after-hour trade.
All right, and don't hate on Triscuits, as Tim would probably say at this point. I'm just gonna lend it there. I should point out too, Seagate's out. Fourth quarter revenue coming in pretty much in line. Fourth quarter adjusted EPS 259 versus 245. The estimate. Stock though is down about 8.3% in the aftermarket. So we'll look for some more headlines on that.
Western
one.
Digital down as well on the heels of that.
So pulling down the sector.